Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that works good.
let's go ahead and get started then. Uh, First off, just a couple of things here for anybody that's here for the first time, or if you haven't been to very many webinars. Just a couple of things here. We always record the webinars; they're available in the training center. That's also where you can register for the weekly webinar. We'll always have a link in the weekly webinar. I mean, in the training center where you can register. So you can do that. The hotline also, guys. We really. I think that some of you should. I think everybody should use the hotline as often as you wish. And don't feel odd about doing it. If you need help, even if you're at a point where maybe you don't even really know what question to ask, you just don't know what to do, that's a good point to call the hotline. We're more than just here to just answer a question for you. Part of what we're here to do is to help motivate you or to help get you excited about things. Because the reality is we see plenty of stuff that's worth getting excited about. But the only way we're really going to be able to get that across is if we have a conversation with you. So, don't hesitate to call us on the hotline. If you're looking for some direction, or if you have specific questions, if you're getting ready for sale, whatever it is, feel free to give us a call.
In addition to that, Shade, we also have that link as well. And so if you're researching late at night and it's too late to call, well, just set up a time and we'll give you a call in the next day or in the morning or whatever works out for you, and we can help answer any of those questions for you as well. And so if we have a specific time that works for you or a time range, let us know and we can try giving you a call then as well.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, and that's at the very top of the training center as well. So all of these things are in the training center on propertytaxlist.com, so you can utilize really any of these resources. What Steve's talking about is just the hotline link that we have. So there's a link you can fill out there that will automatically send us an email that lets us know, you can let us know what time you'd like to do things at.
And,
Okay.
and a good thing about that is you can put down what you're interested in or some of the questions that you may have. That way we kind of know when we're giving you a call, we kind of know exactly what you're looking to do, and we might have some things that we can bring to the call already because we already have an idea.
Excellent. Okay. I found that over the last week or so, we always watch sales, but I've been watching sales pretty closely, like really closely here. I've actually been doing some different research for one of the team training students that we have. I mean, not team training, but one of the personal training students that we have, and I'm just floored at how many opportunities there are at some of these sales that are coming up, and these are sales that are going to be taking place. I think the majority of the sales that we'll be talking about here for the next little bit are taking place on the second and third, and there are all these great sales. In fact, I with the personal training student, I was just telling her that I wish that I wish we could do all of them because we find that there are a whole bunch of these great opportunities that are coming up, and uh, there are different things that we look at. There are different things that we. I think there are different things that we look at when we consider whether or not something's a great sale to participate in. And I was thinking about what some of those qualifications were. What it was that made one sale better than another. And so we're going to try to we're going to try to discuss some of that today, and try to demonstrate some of it. So that's really going to include a number of things here, because what's interesting is that a lot of these things kind of fall into the same thing. Picking sales and reviewing past sales are going to end up being a lot of the same things. Reviewing past sales is an important part of picking sales if you're looking at counties that have regular sales. And then we're going to talk a little bit about tax lien due diligence versus tax deed due diligence. From there, we'd also like to try something a little more question and answer based, with video, so we can get some interaction, and uh, I guess would like to get some direction from you guys as far as different questions you have. So as we're going through some of these, think about any questions that might come up in your mind, and don't hesitate to ask them there. You can ask them in the question section or the chat section. So with that being said here, I want to let's talk about a couple of different properties. Um, First off, this sale right here, Lee County, on the 2nd of September. Lee County, they have a number of different auctions that take place every single week. In fact, if we were to look at their calendar here, I wish I had a shot of it here, but every single week they have a sale where they have at least 50, 60 properties available, and sometimes those sales have more opportunities than other times. We're getting down to the point where I think they've worked through about half of the properties redeemed, but here are the properties, just a couple of the properties that are left. Now, let's see here. Okay, now I'm just interested. It's not showing my face right now, is it, Steve? Just want to make sure.
No,
Okay.
no, it's not.
All right. I want to make sure that
I didn't realize you were going to do that, and so suddenly I saw it. I was wondering.
Oh yeah, whether it was like some kind of a mistake or something.
Yeah.
Okay, this first property here, if you're looking at it, just amazing numbers on all of these properties. We've got an opening bid amount of 4,200 and an estimated value on it of 95,000. So the assessment from the county is a little bit low. What that means is you've got a really good bid to value ratio. And the bid to value ratio on this particular property is 4.3%. I mean, 10% is normally where we is that mark where we think a property is a great deal. And if you get half of that, then we're talking about some pretty crazy numbers. This property right here, $3,900 opening bid amount, and it's estimated to be worth $69,000. So you're looking at a 5.6, bid to value on this one. And as far as whether or not those numbers are completely accurate, it doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily have to be dead on, as long as you're using the same system every time. That's more important than anything. In other words, if you were doing it off of the assessed value, what's the bid to assessed value, that would be fine, as long as, your percentages might be a little bit different. We always go off of the estimated value on Zillow because it's an easy number to pull up, and it's the same thing every time. And that way, you're getting kind of you're getting a straight comparison, across the board. And so let's here look. There are some more. This property right here, talking about a $4,400 opening bid. It's estimated to be worth $97,000. So. And a couple of these are newer properties, bid to value ratio of 4.5%. And like I said, half the properties have already redeemed, and so it's possible these could redeem, but we're getting pretty close to the sale. It basically happens in a week. This property right here has a higher opening bid, $22,000, but it's estimated to be worth $466,000. I mean, the values in this area are higher, and so that one's a bid value ratio of 4.7%. Also, another sale that's taken place here. Those were all with Lee County for the sale taking place on the 2nd. Duval County, we talked a little bit about last week. Duval County has sales, that they conduct once a month, maybe twice a month, but sometimes their second sale every month is kind of a small one, where they only have a couple of deeds. But what's interesting is that they had a sale last month, where they had about 110 tax deeds that they started off with, and then suddenly, for this month, they had a sale there where they had 300 plus, to start with. They're at about 250 right now, and it's a sale that's happening on the 6th. I'm sorry, on the 3rd of September, and there are a ton of opportunities there. But we'll get a chance in a minute to go back and look at some of the past sales, the results from some of the past sales, because you can really get an idea or a feel for what's happening with auctions if you watch the trends and what properties are selling for on a month-to-month basis.
Hey, Shade.
Yeah.
I sent you over some pictures. You can open them. We can open them later if we need to. But they're just some. I was looking at some properties today in Clay County, and this isn't an online auction. This is an auction that in Florida that you have to attend. But I found like a $3,000 condo, valued in the 80s. I found a $14,000 really nice home, $200,000 property. So I just sent over the pictures and the Zillow value as well. If you.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. All right, so for Duval County, interestingly enough, you find all different types of properties. This property had an opening bid of $43,000, and according to the county, an assessed value of $237,000. When you look at it, though, it's property used to set up as restaurant fast food, and what you have here is a Domino's Pizza location. And I'm not sure what the estimated value on the property is, but it wouldn't surprise me if this had a bid to value ratio of 10% or somewhere close to that.
Well, and if this property goes to sell, I mean, the opportunity to take over, even if Domino's has left the area, a setup like that, there's just so many possibilities and lots of ways to make profit on that type of property.
Yeah, that's true. So there is a little higher opening bid amount, $43,000, but you're also dealing with commercial property and one that could potentially be worth a lot of money. Interesting on that. Another commercial property here. This one, opening bid of $27,000, and really it's a nice looking place. I don't really know a whole lot about what it was. I think I don't know if it was a restaurant. I think before. So I think it would work as a restaurant. I believe that's what
it could probably work as a lot of different things, an antique store or some type of shop or gift shop, or depending on the location.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what's inside it. But again, a couple of just crazy good deals. Okay, here we've got a condo. Opens up at $7,000. What's nice about the condos though is I guess certain things you don't have to worry about. Of course, certain things that you do. If you were going to buy the condo, it'd be worth contacting the management company for it.
The HOA.
Yeah. Okay. Now, like I said, we're going to kind of go through some of these here. Escambia County has 41 tax deeds that are available right now, and they've got some pretty good opportunities too, and some of the lower priced. This one right here, looking at an opening bid of $3,500, estimated to be worth $50,000. And it's a pretty clean little property. I think that was a newer image. With something like that, I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to check and see what properties, what it ends up selling for. But that's one, that could end up going for a really low price. It'd be a nice little property. This one right here, $5,600 opening bid, estimated to be worth about $43,000. The assessed value is about right on with that one. And this property here, looking at a $7,100 opening bid and an estimated value of $127,000. So you're back down to a bid to value ratio of 5.6% again.
And these single family homes that we're looking at that start anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000, these are great properties to start bidding with if you have that type of capital, because you're able to pick up one of these properties, you turn around and sell it. Even if you sold it for half price, you could make 40 grand, and that 40 grand going to the tax sale. Well, now you're looking at buying, you're looking at possibly getting a Domino's pizza if it goes to auction.
Yeah.
And so from there, you could make a couple of $100,000, and a couple of $100,000 can really change anyone's life, especially if they continue to reinvest that money into tax deeds.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another interesting setup here. This actually has the same opening bid amount, $22,000. The county's assessed value on it is $381. So I'm not sure what it would be. It used to be a bank, and then it was turned into, it looked like some kind of an insurance place. Interesting. These a couple of these commercial properties, and commercial property.
Like it's in a great location, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you can see that everything behind it around here is a newer, strip mall. And so you're going to have a good busy location. There's lots of parking, tons of people, go in and out of this place. I mean, that property.
You can see a Taco Bell, and you can see a strip mall to the left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, there are a ton of opportunities within those sales, and those are just three that those sales were three that I had time to go through that looked pretty good from everything that I could see. So let's talk about exactly how we do that, and what exactly you do when you're dealing with lots of different types of tax sale lists. Tax sale lists are part of the challenge when it comes to tax lien investing or tax deed investing, and that's because counties have so many different ways of doing things. Really, every county has their own methodology, and so to simplify that a little bit, what we did was I broke that down into three different formats. Typically, that lists are going to come in. They're either going to come in an Excel or a CSV format, which would open in Excel for you, most likely. So either Excel lists, PDF lists, or online lists. I think for the most part, every list you're going to deal with typically will be one of those. Now, I guess out of these three, the ones you're going to run into the most for online auctions, luckily with online auctions, they usually have pretty good online list setups. At least with a couple of these companies, the real auctions have real auction lists. So those are all of those in Florida are good lists that are always pretty easy to pull up information on. These lists to the left are from Grand Street Group, right?
Yeah.
And their format is a little bit different.
It's actually a little bit more difficult, but
yeah.
What that does mean is less people are going to be looking through each one of these properties, and so I've seen lots of great deals throughout these lists. Just because when you click on the tax number, what it'll do is it'll pull up all of the PDF forms like the tax deed information, and then from there you can find out some information, but usually what I'll do is just pull up the assessor's record right there at the same time, and then just take the parcel number of the property I'm looking at and pull up the full property record on it, because it just gives you limited property information.
Yeah.
But still, once you figured out what the property is, there's two counties that in Florida that use this system. So it's not a ton, but it is Palm Beach, and they have a lot of good properties in that auction.
Yeah, let's see here. Now, I guess whenever we're looking at a list, the whole idea and what you're really trying to do is a process of narrowing down that selection. You're basically trying to funnel down your options to just a handful of properties, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time doing due diligence on stuff that is not going to potentially work for you. So when it comes to setting some kind of, I guess what you really need to do that, the only way you can really narrow that down is to set criteria, and then to follow that criteria with the property. So you really have to find a system to do that, and typically you can use any information that is on the list that will work. In other words, things like the legal description will rarely tell you exactly what a property is, but there are other things that you can use as well that will help. Like if it has a physical address. But price is going to be the one that's almost always included. You almost always have either a lien amount or an opening bid amount for deeds. And so price is going to be the easiest one to always start with. You can basically set the criteria based on where you believe the homes are going to be at. So maybe you look at a couple of these, a couple of properties, and try to determine, based on their value, about how much you think the homes in the area will start as far as the minimum bid amount. And you try to set that or somewhere in that area as a minimum bid amount, and then you set your maximum based on whatever it is you want to invest. If you figure if if you're interested in a property, then give yourself a little bit of room on it otherwise. But otherwise, you're just kind of set. You're only limited by how much you want to spend, how much money you've got, I guess. Okay, so let's switch over here. And what we're going to do, okay, we're going to do a couple of things here. First off, there we go. I noticed, Kyle was saying to be careful with the condos in Florida. He found one that was cheap, but it had an $89,000 mandatory fee. That sounds like a crazy amount. In other words, what the condo is. My guess is the management company was saying that there's a mandatory fee of $89,000, kind of like back fees. In other words, they're saying, hey, here are fees that weren't wiped out with the foreclosure, and my guess is that could be what they mean on that. Yeah, definitely something you would want to do in the due diligence process before you bought a condo would be to talk to the management company or whoever it is that is the building is the property is contained within, the building owner or management company. Okay, so he also said Lee County also goes for much higher than estimated value, and that may be true. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about that. He mentioned, that Lee County ends up going for a lot higher price, and I would say that could be very well true. It really depends on how much competition you've got at some of these sales. Now, okay. Kyle is saying that the 89,000 was a one-time membership fee. If it was a one-time is like a one-time fee, that's a crazy membership fee. So every homeowner that owns a property is supposed to pay like 89,000. If you were to sell it, the person's got to pay 89,000. That's crazy. Yeah. Anyhow, okay. But let's talk a little bit about how we can select sales, based on past results, and avoiding places where we're just going to run into so much competition that we're going to get bid up. I guess everybody's going to outbid us on whatever it is that we're going to be engaging in. Which, by the way, really the best way to do this is to make a lot of bids. Until you get a property for that's good. It's within your price range. As long as you make a good buy on it, you'll always be okay. Okay, so let's go. All right, let me just enlarge this. Okay, so speaking of that, even those counties, we could even look at a couple of these counties. I mentioned though Duval, Duval County, and we're gonna go back here and look at their auction calendar. Okay, so we're looking at this is August. We've got September, and you can see that here's their sale for September. Now, if you really want to get a feel for what's going to happen in some of these counties, then checking the results of past sales, it's going to be the easiest way to do that. And what you're going to find typically is that the higher the number of tax deeds that are offered at the sale, the higher the chances that properties are going to go for a fair amount. But it's also going to be based on how many people are interested in the sales on a regular basis. So as we look at their August sale for Duval County, it's going to give us a pretty good indication of what's going to happen with the September sale, because if the August sale, if let's say that the August sale was highly competitive, then we might be able to say, okay, well, with it being 250 instead of 100 properties, then it might be a little less competitive, but they're still going to be pretty competitive. But if we see that, at 100 properties, there really weren't enough bidders to buy things up, then when there are, 300 properties, then there are definitely not going to be enough bidders. So let's take a look at that. 112 last month that we're off.
And it really just depends on the auction and what's going on within a particular county. For example, Lee County may have got a lot of advertising, a lot of local investors, because 6 months ago Lee County was selling, there was properties that were slipping through, or a year ago, and so it just depends on the county. That's one of the great thing is there's probably 30 auctions taking place over the next month just in Florida, taking place online, and so there's lots of different opportunities to be aware of and see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, now what we're looking at here, we're just going to start going through the list. In fact, if this is big enough, maybe Steve, you can tell me how.
Oh yeah, it's big. I mean, I have a big screen, but it's pretty big.
You can see it okay at that size?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So we can start off here. We can see that some of these. I mean, sometimes they go. I mean, this one just has actually a really high opening bid amount. Some of these are canceled, as per bankruptcy. And then what we're seeing here, anytime it says sold to certificate holder, we're looking at properties that didn't get bids. Now, some of these may not be that great, but we'll start to see some that are not too bad. Okay, so here we've got one that had an opening bid of $7,800, and it didn't get a bid, so it went to the certificate holder. Which, by the way, in Florida, that's what happens. If there's any confusion about that, Florida's a weird state. They do tax liens and tax deeds. They sell tax liens that have a 2-year redemption period. And at the end of that redemption period, normally in a tax lien state, the lien holder would start the foreclosure process. But in Florida, what they do instead is they include the property in a tax deed sale and will then sell it as a tax deed and use the proceeds to pay off the lien holders. So in Florida, there's just kind of an added level there of chance that you're not going to end up with the property because somebody's going to buy it. But
it can also get put on the list of lands as well. I think it depends if the certificate holder, and it kind of depends on the county as well, but the certificate holder will have the choice in most counties of either acquiring the property, or if they don't want it, can go onto the list of lands where it'll be over the counter. In fact, I was getting a bunch of over the counter lists today in Florida, and we'll be putting them up on the website later on tonight.
Okay.
I actually found some single-family homes on those lists today as well.
So we've got a house right there, no bid, and what we're going to start to see here, you scan through, canceled, redeemed, went to certificate holder, which I think that one might be another house, certificate holder, third-party bidder. Here's one, but it's they bid it up pretty high. whatever it was, probably a house. Let's see. We've got a third-party bidder that picked this property up for just a little. Well, it opened for 8,600, sold for 10,000. Let's take a look, just real quickly.
On the assessed value, one thing, the assessed value being 30 grand, it's very possible it could be worth 30 grand, but it's very possible it could be worth 60 grand as well, because there's a lot of areas in Florida where they really took down the property taxes and the assessed value low during 2012, 2013 because of the real estate market, and they really haven't risen those prices up compared to what the market has done.
Yeah. In fact, we're seeing more and more counties that are, that are pretty low on their assessment compared to the valley. I mean, to the value now.
That property there looks like it needs some cleanup and some trees cut down.
Mm-hmm. But I'll bet.
But really, I wouldn't be surprised if it has a decent value.
We can.
Even at 40 grand, you could turn around and make 15 or 20 grand off of it.
Yeah. Well, so it was bought for 10,000, and it's estimated to be worth 47,000 right now. But if you look, it's pretty low in value compared to a lot of the other homes in the area.
Yeah, you can see 102. You can see some in the 50s and 60s right across the street.
Yeah. It's surrounded by properties that are more valuable than it, so it just needs a little bit of work. Gives you an idea too of what it could potentially sell for. As we scroll down here, all right, they picked up this property right here for just a little. It opened for 9,000. It sold for 11, and I'm guessing that this is probably another house, but it's we're talking about selling for a pretty cheap price. We've got another house. Let's take a look here. Okay, this one, 10,000 went to certificate holder.
One thing you want to do is you're looking at some of these houses as well is look to see what the neighborhood looks like, and that's one nice feature about Google Earth or even Google Maps is you can go up and down the street and see, and if it's the dirtiest house and worst house on the street, your neighbors are going to be happy that somebody's picking it up and cleaning it up. If the homes on the street are all boarded up and all trashed, well, then you may want to worry about that area.
Now, here's the
but
problem.
That's one.
This image was taken about a year ago, and this thing went for $6,000. It didn't get a bid. It went to the certificate holder, and
that's not a bad little property.
No, it's not. In fact, let's see.
I'll bet it's worth 35 or 40.
Yeah, 33,000. So, yeah, that's another one that was picked up for about for under. Well, it wasn't picked up. It didn't get a bid. It didn't get a bid at that amount.
Let's see what the value would have been on that 5 years ago. I just have to wonder, what was it worth in
about 90.
So it was worth 90 grand.
Yeah.
Wow. In 2006 it was worth $90,000, and so chances are this property's continue to go up in value.
Yeah.
There's another one at 15,000 that went to the certificate holder.
Well, this one right here, somebody picked up for a pretty low price. They picked it up for a little over the opening bid amount, and this is another nice single family house. But what you will find here, there's 12 pages of this, and you'll find a lot of these that went to certificate holder. Another one like this, $7,000 opening bid, $32,000 assessed value. This property right here didn't get a bid. Oh, never mind. I know what that property is. Let's see here. We're going to find more of these. This one sold to a third-party bidder for $15,000.
A little higher assessed value.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit nicer, whatever it is. There we go. So that's
Oh, that's not bad.
yeah.
It looks like it's got newer siding or something on it. Newer windows too.
Yeah. This one sold for just over the opening bid. It opened up for 7,100 and it sold for 7,200. And this one is going to be another house. So you see
Little
this is,
house. It's on a big property.
yeah.
Oh, it's long.
Mm-hmm. Again, we see more of these certificate holder.
Look at that one where the bidder walked away. That means it's going to go back up to sell again. The one on Broadway Avenue.
Oh yeah. Let's see. So this one got picked up too for just over the opening bid amount. You know, it didn't get challenged.
Yeah, and when you walk away, you know, they're not going to let you bid again.
This property right here would be the one.
It just needs a mow. The houses on either side of it are pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, oops. You know, as I look through this, we have a whole bunch, just a whole bunch of them, and a lot of these. I guess what you find with this particular sale is with the 100 properties sold, but there weren't too many that sold for a really high amount. In other words, you know, most of the time when we see, you know, the properties that sold to a third party bidder, you know, we see that they sold. I mean, this sold for $400 over the opening bid amount, and a lot of these others are the same way. Let's see, those are all certificate holders. Third party bidder. This one sold for $100 over the opening bid. This one sold for $50 over the opening bid.
Look
And
at that one's worth 47 grand.
yeah, you know, and this one sold for, yeah, in fact, let's take a look. I think I've seen this one. You know, this
You
one
could probably
sold
even do it
for
Zillow.
$7,700. Let's take a look and see what it is. Oh, that's right. It's this building. It's this commercial property.
It's on a busy street.
Oh, and some of these, this one right here didn't get a bid. So what we started to figure out from this is that, yeah, there were bidders that attended, you know, the sale, but not necessarily enough to make things, you know, super competitive. You know, they didn't really get into big of bidding wars trying to get property. Most of the stuff that sold for pretty close to what it opened up for. It's really just a matter of whether or not a property had somebody that was interested in it.